to be brutally honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with actress, author, TV host, social media star, Tabitha Brown.
What? Very good at all the things.
I was trying to think of all the, and there's more.
Yeah,
Because you have
like mama,
wife, you have a hair care line.
Yes.
I included the books. I feel like you have a restaurant.
I did have a restaurant.
Okay.
I don't anymore, but I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are there any other? And you have a line at. We're gonna go through all this stuff. So I didn't get all the titles, but I got the gist of it. You are an entrepreneur.
I am.
You are an entrepreneur. I want to talk about how your start in terms of how you got to LA initially.
Oh, I got to LA in originally in 04 and came here pursuing acting. Like that was my dream. I was like, Lord, I got to get out there and pursue acting and And so when I first came, I wasn't in LA. If you know my story, I was in like Orange County, which was 98.
Yes.
Then went back to North Carolina. And so when I finally came back and landed in LA, it was 04.
Okay.
And so that's why I came.
So what made you decide to come back and pursue acting? And what was your plan of action at that time?
So I had been wanting to act my whole life, right? And so, like I said before, in 98, when I came to California, I was in Orange County. A lady had told me I could rent a room from her, one of my mama's people that she knew. And she didn't tell me she was a little crazy. She didn't tell me that part. And so
she was a little...
she went all the way right there.
Okay.
And so I was living with her and renting a room out, but she was pretty much like taking all my money. And I was young, 19, you know, and my husband was my boyfriend at the time. He came out, he was like, this don't make no sense. You living way out here, nowhere near Hollywood. You ain't doing no acting. You working 2 jobs. You struggling. We need to go back to North Carolina, save up because it's cheaper, and then move to LA in a year. And so I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And so we moved back to Greensboro instead of Eden. We went to Greensboro, and that 1-year plan turned into 5 years, right? We ended up having a baby and got married, and we had all these new responsibilities and jobs and things. And I really convinced myself I can't have that dream anymore, right? You know, if you're young and you have a baby, and you from a small town, it happens all the time. And they're like, okay, now what you do is get a job and y'all get married and have a house and live happily ever after. This is your life. And I convinced myself that that was it.
Okay.
And so then one day I woke up and it felt like an earthquake had happened in Greensboro. I felt my bed shake and I heard a voice that sounded like thunder. And the voice said to me, this is not the life I planned for you. And it scared me. And I was like, okay, Lord, I got on my knees and I started praying. I was like, okay, now God, if this is you speaking to me, I need you to show me a sign today because I thought I was losing my mind. And I told my husband what happened. I think he thought I was losing my mind too. And later that day we were in the car going to the mall, and on the radio, the DJ, his name was Buster Brown, he came on and he was like, hey, I'm holding auditions. I got a new TV show. I'm looking for a female co-host. And I went crazy in the car because no auditions ever happened.
Okay.
And I was like, that's my sign. I asked God to give me a sign today. So I went to that audition and I booked that show. And so that was my first audition, you know, for anything really other than theater, doing TV. And so I did that and learned how to produce and host and did that for about a year. And then told my husband, okay, now it's time for us to go back to LA. And so that's how we ended up going.
So the show that you booked, that you were hosting, that was in Greensboro.
In Greensboro.
Okay, so you kind of were preparing yourself doing that. But let's talk about this voice from God. So because you know, people say, and even you say this, like I'll you know, watch some of your clips, and you know, God told me blah blah blah, or not blah blah blah, but you know, God told me this, that, or whatever. And I'm always thinking, like, I know everyone has a different relationship with God or whoever they believe in.
Right.
And I'm always wondering, is it like a voice on the inside, or is it like in your situation you were like,
that voice
was very loud and clear?
Thunder.
Okay.
It was the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
Enough to shake you, right? He had to get my attention, and that's how he did it. But the voice of God comes in different ways, right? When my mama was sick, she had ALS, and so in her last year, she couldn't really project her voice. In her last 6 months, she really couldn't talk at all. We'd have to read her lips, or she'd be at a whisper. And I would go home and be with her to, you know, help take care of her. And so she had like a long ranch style home. And so she was in her bedroom. Her hospital bed was there because she was also not able to move. And I would be in her office on the computer, which is on the other side of the house. And so many times I would hear clear as day her call my name. And I would go in there and be like, Mommy, did you call me? And she would look at me like, how am I gonna call you? But sometimes what God will do not to scare you, he'll use a voice that's familiar, right? And so that's another way that we can hear his voice. Sometimes we hear it from other people. Sometimes it is a voice inside. For me, I know I'm very different than most people because I was born with a gift. It's a whisper sometimes for me, right? He speaks to me in my dreams. It comes in different ways for different people.
How do you decipher if it's God or if it's your own
flesh?
Yeah.
Right. So there's a way that for me, and I've explained this to other people too, sometimes you'll hear something and it will not release you.
Okay.
Right? You can't shake it. Sometimes we'll think something is us. But the thing that keeps bothering you, the thing that it won't allow you to come away from it. And sometimes he'll use somebody else to remind you what he said. It'll keep showing up in different ways. He'll show you, he'll be very clear. He's not a God of confusion. He's very, very clear. And so that's how I tell the difference.
Okay, all right. I feel like this is advice for me, so thank you. Okay, so going back, fast forward to you came to LA officially.
Yep.
So you started booking smaller roles, or what initially happened?
Yeah, so when I first got here, when you hear this voice of God, honey, you like, they waiting on me. Honey, they here. And I got here, won't nobody here. Okay, they won't wait on Tab. Honey, Macy's was waiting on me. I had to go get a job.
Right.
And so I went, I was working at Macy's.
Macy's were you?
Century City.
Okay.
And I worked there for my first 5 years of being in LA because I also, as soon as I got here, my mom started getting sick back home. So I was back and forth until 2007, until she passed away. And so, but I started acting classes. I was one of the first people when Tasha Smith had an acting school, TSAW. So I was in her first group. And so we would all, we all kind of came up together. A lot of those working actors who are now like people that you see, we all started in this group together. Mm-hmm. And then I would audition. So I was doing music videos back in the day. I was doing any type of infomercial, commercials, honey, straight to DVD movies. I got so many of them. Please don't look them up. Okay, that's the old Tab, Jesus. But that's also my story, right? Mm-hmm. But I was doing a lot of things. BET, I did, Hell Date back in the day. I was one of the girls that played one of the crazy sisters, like, for Kedar. But I did a lot of very small roles and was very happy about it. Every job that I booked, whether it was free or $50, I thought it was going to be the job that blew me up. It didn't matter. I would come home and tell my husband, honey, this is it right here. And I done booked the one this time. Every job.
So were you trying to psych yourself out, or you really
believed
that?
It.
You believed
I
it?
believed it with my whole heart that
Wow.
that was going to be it.
And what would your husband say?
He'd be like, okay, babe. Listen, after years of that, It was just kind of like, it's hard to believe. So God has shown me my life. He had shown me these glimpses of what I was going to have. And I could not figure out when or how. But I would just tell my husband all the time, I'm telling you, God showed me, like, I'm going to make it. And he'd be like, okay.
But I need to know how did you stay driven and committed to still get up and continue to,
Yeah, to pursue.
Yeah. Because your story is inspiring, but it's also a lot of people come to Hollywood, come to LA, or even like New York, and they keep at it. And, sometimes they don't keep at it. So right. I'm just wondering what made you keep going?
Well, for me, it's one thing. When you hear a voice, right, it's always just been inside of me, like that reminder. And then there will be other very small reminders that are actually very big. Over the years when I was working, because I always worked. I worked while I waited, right? I never want people to be confused by I was just pursuing a dream. I was pursuing a dream, but I always had a job, right? But I would see people, and I ain't like nobody that you would know, like I'm not famous, right? But people would be like, aren't you on that show? And I'd be like, and they'd be like, you don't do a show with kids? No, but then God whispered to me one day, he said, they see your destiny. Those are the things that would keep me going. But also this desire that I have inside of me to perform. When I don't do it, I don't feel well.
Okay.
Right? It's just this thing. If you look at, my daddy has all these old tapes. I was talking to him yesterday. He said, I'm gonna put these things on the, DVD so I can see them. But he has all these old tapes of me as a child. And every time he goes, what you gonna be when you grow up? I'm like, I'm gonna be in Hollywood. I'm gonna be a movie star, Daddy. I'm gonna be an actress. I'm gonna have a TV show. It's just always been in me. I feel like it's what I was called to do. So even if I wanted to quit, it won't let me.
Okay.
The only time that I ever, other than when I was in North Carolina and thought I couldn't have it anymore, the only other time is when I was sick. And I didn't want to quit. I just was like, God, am I going to be able to keep doing it? Because I was so sick, I thought I was going to die.
Right.
But it's just, I love it. You know, I love it. Even if I wasn't making a lot of money, I would still do it. I did it for free and for nothing for many years and still worked a job so that I could afford to live my dream and pursue it. And thank God I got an amazing husband who always had a real career, and he did that so that I could pursue my dreams.
Okay. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Tabitha Brown. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about you becoming a vegan. I know it was inspired by something, so you kind of talk about that?
I got sick in 2016.
Okay.
And so I woke up in like a normal day, but I had like this headache in the back of my head and my neck was tight. But I had this car accident when I was in high school. So over the years, I would always wake up, you know, like people say, oh, I got a crook in my neck, and you wake up and you stiff. So I was like, oh, I'm just probably having another episode. But this headache stayed in the back of my head and rested there for 1 year and 7 months. Every single day, it never went away. And it started to kind of move through my body. So I started having chronic pain through my body, chronic fatigue. I would fall when I would walk. I just could not get well. And doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And so I was probably in the doctor like every week, every month, doing blood work, doing MRIs. I took every drug they offered me. Even though they couldn't diagnose me with anything, I was desperate. And so I was probably getting worse because I was taking all the drugs, the steroids, the shots. They were putting shots in my head, shots in my spine. They were just trying anything. And I just couldn't get better. And then my daughter came home from school one day. And she was like, Mama, we saw this documentary at school. I think you should watch it.
Okay.
And it was What the Health on Netflix. And so I watched it. And it was pretty like instant, like a light bulb moment for me. And they started talking about not all diseases are hereditary, that we can eat the same thing in our family. We got the same bloodline and it can cause the same disease. And so I started thinking, I was like, well, my mama died at 51 of a rare disease that there's no cause or cure. My daddy's 71. He's the oldest man to ever live in our family. My aunts, my uncles, like people die very young or they get sick at young ages. And the only thing we had in common was how we ate. And so it was also the only thing I had not tried. And so I was like, well, you know what? And I wasn't a bad eater, right? But I used to eat to look a certain way.
Okay.
I never ate to feel a certain way, right? And so I was like, well, I can give it 30 days. So I told my husband, you know what? Let's do a 30-day vegan challenge. I'm desperate. What do we have to lose?
Right.
And so in the first 10 days of doing the vegan challenge, my headache disappeared. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm on to something, you know. And then after, day after day, I started getting energy again. And it's like pain just started to leave my body. So after the 30 days, I was like, I ain't going back. This is going to be my life. And here I am almost, 5.5 years later almost.
So wait a minute. So the diet completely changed, I guess healed you?
Yep.
So you think it was meat? You think it was dairy?
I think
what do you think it is?
Well, I'm allergic to dairy,
Okay.
like most of us. Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm not a vegetarian. I just don't eat red meat.
Oh, okay.
But I like.
And I didn't eat red meat or pork. I haven't had
Me
since
neither.
I was 15.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I said I wasn't a bad eater. I
Right.
only ate chicken, fish, and turkey.
Same.
But I am allergic, to
dairy.
dairy, and I'm allergic to soy.
Okay.
And so what I think is because, with meat, I was eating chicken all the time. And so the things that they pump it with have everything in it.
Yeah.
I think I was allergic to all of that because, we're eating all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I also feel like I hate thinking about eating, like being vegetarian or vegan, because I feel like it's just like a healthy thing to do anyway. Because I feel like it probably contributes to like different kind of ailments and diseases.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's a whole lot. Like I also was suffering from depression and manic panic attacks, right? Because when you're sick and you know that something is wrong and nobody can tell you what it is, that causes you to be in a panic all the time.
Right.
Because I really thought I was going to die, right? And so I was just like, why can't they tell me what's wrong with me? I know my body and this ain't it. Like something is wrong. And so I also, after, changing how I ate and started feeling like depression left.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
Anxiety left. Absolutely. But, the saying is we are what we eat, right? And so now the way they mass produce all these animals, and animals are in a state of panic. Yeah. And they're depressed, and we're eating.
Please don't make me stop eating
I'm
meat.
not, girl, what you eat is your business. I'm just telling you, I was eating depression.
Yeah.
And I was eating panic. And I was eating sickness. Because that's the other thing, animals, even if they're sick, they can still sell them. They'll still approve it to be sold. Because they say, oh, the temperatures when you cook it will kill whatever disease it is.
Right. Full transparency here. So listen, I battle anxiety and depression. I'm in therapy and I take medication and stuff like that. I wonder if I change my diet. I know there's certain things that I know that kind of stuff isn't. I wonder how it would affect my temperament.
When you did your January with the church you was telling me about, how did you feel?
I felt good.
How did you feel mentally?
I felt good. I know. I don't want you to make me a vegan.
Listen, I would never tell you
the
to
vegan
go
is too hard.
right?
I could probably do vegetarian. The vegan is pushing it for your girl.
I would never tell you to do anything.
Right,
but
know.
What I will tell you to do is listen to your body.
Please don't be the voice of God right now.
That's it.
Okay.
Listen to your body, honey. Listen, that's it. I will only tell you, listen to your body.
Okay.
Our body tells us what it wants and what it needs, and when something is wrong.
Also, I was saying that I was going to not let my daughter have any meat until she's old enough to decide, if that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times if we taught children, I remember myself as a child, I was vegetarian also when I was in high school.
Okay.
And I remember never, because I grew up, being on farms and all that stuff. So I never connected like these chickens that I'm playing with or, these like goats and the cows and all this. I didn't connect it. Oh, I'm eating that. We don't connect it unless we're told.
Yeah.
Right. So if you went to, most people would never be able to butcher a cow.
No, I wouldn't be able to butcher anything.
You wouldn't be able to go and do it yourself to eat it. And also food isn't the same anymore. Right? People be like, my grandma lived to be 100, honey. She ate pork and beef. I said, but she also probably knew the animal.
She probably did.
She probably raised it. Yeah. Right. And it used to be, not that there's really a humane way to kill someone, but there used to be a different way to do that. And they also did it and knew that, okay, this is a sacrifice for our family. Like my daddy is 1 of 12. He was like, we never ate meat until the weekend, all during the week.
Yeah.
Because that was a commodity. Like we can't afford to eat that every day.
Yeah.
So during the week, he was like, we was vegan during the week anyway. We didn't even realize it.
It wasn't a choice.
Exactly. So he was like, and then during the holidays, it's really the only time they got pork. Because they killed a hog, for the holidays, and that would last him all throughout. So he was like, he had to bring himself back to that thought. He was like, dang, I forgot. That's how we used to eat. So
okay, well, points are being made.
Well, listen, it's all on you. What you eat is your business, honey.
Okay.
I'm just here to, spread light and love.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Tabitha Brown. Switch topics. I want to talk about you becoming this mega social media star.
Okay.
Can you kind of tell me how that happened?
Oh, well, when I never ever wanted to do videos, right? I'm a trained actress. All I wanted to do was, do my acting. And I was always so, Hollywood, they frown upon people who do videos, right? That was like a thing. So I used to be very much so like, oh, honey, y'all ain't gonna make it, honey, y'all do videos, right? While I was making $15 an hour, thinking I was better than somebody, okay? And so when I was sick, going through my journey of sickness, battling depression and anxiety, I had this moment where I really thought God had forgotten about me, right? And I had realized I had been habitually praying. And what that is you're just praying out of habit, but you ain't really believing what you're praying. And I had what I call my come to Jesus moment. I was like, Lord, I got to talk to you in this bathroom, and I got to really have my final call out to you. And I got in the mirror and I prayed, and I was like, God, if you heal me, you can have me. And I'm not going to try to live my life my way no more. I'm going to live it the way you created me to live it. And I meant it. And so something happened that I felt shift when I left the bathroom that day. And a couple of weeks later, I ended up having this dream. And I had a dream and saw myself on a show. And I was like, I woke up because my dreams, I'm gifted in dreaming. My dreams always come to pass. And I was like, now, Lord, I'm not, because I'm sick, I'm not really auditioning. I'm not doing stand-up anymore because I used to do stand-up trying to get a TV show. So I was like, well, Lord, how was I on a show if I'm not doing all these things, right? Reveal this to me. And I heard a voice that said, start doing videos. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm not going to do no videos. So again, the voice said, start doing videos. I was like, I don't want to do videos. Like, I'm an actress. Like, what am I going to do a video about? And he was like, remember in the bathroom a couple weeks ago, you said, if I heal you, I can have you. And I was like, I did say that. which means I got to be obedient to the voice. So I was like, all right. So when I first started doing videos, I was still not well, and I also was not free.
What do you mean you weren't free?
So in being free, in being, giving my life to God and telling him I'm going to be who he created me to be, that means I had to start taking these layers off, because I had created this image, this person that I thought Hollywood wanted me to be.
Who was that? What did that person look like? Or what?
Honey, she was very much so, she was always very thin, okay, a little thinner than this tab. I always wore my hair straight. I always cover my accent. Everything that they told me to do, I became her. Everything that I saw, right? You know, I would be told, even when I worked corporate America, you know, I'd be told I sound ignorant because of my accent. And then in Hollywood or entertainment, they would say, oh, they're going to typecast you. You got to cover that. So I mastered that.
Okay.
But I also code switched, right?
Like most Black people.
Right. Which also means I was not free. And so I was taking these layers off. But in the very early stages of my videos, I still was very guarded and afraid.
What were you doing?
I was telling the same jokes and stuff I used to tell on stage, right? I was a sit-down comedian, honey, because I'd be in my bed sometime or on my couch. And I was like, okay, Lord, you know, what am I doing? So God had spoke to me. He was like, listen, when you were trying to get a show doing stand-up, you was reaching like 15, 30 people a night going to these clubs, right? If you saw the videos, you reach thousands in minutes. And I was like, this don't make no sense because I ain't got thousands of followers, right? This is crazy. But I'm going to be obedient. So I would go live and I would do these videos and it'd be like 20 people watching. I'd be like, this is my cousins in North Carolina. Hey, y'all, right? And after, you know, a couple of weeks is when my daughter came home and told me about the documentary. And so after I did the 30-day vegan challenge and decided I'm going to go vegan, the day I told my husband, this is going to be my life. On that day 30, I was like, I'm not going back. This is going to be my life. The same voice whispered in my ear and said, now tell people what you eat on your videos. And I was like, oh, Lord. Because also in this time, I had shaved off all my hair. And so I was like, oh, Lord, I'm about to get on here and tell people it ain't a challenge. This is my life, y'all. You know, I'm from North Carolina in a small town. I done shaved off all my hair. And I'm going vegan. They're going to be like, Tab done lost her mind out there in LA.
Especially when you're shaking your head.
Right. And so I was like, all right. And so I started telling people, you know, I'm going vegan. When I find food, I'm going to just share with y'all. So I would cook every night, consistently, every night.
And so those are the videos that you were doing. Or you were going live.
I would go live like 5 o'clock Pacific time on Facebook. And I started doing that like August, September of 2017.
Okay.
And by October, I was feeling so good. I told my husband, I was like, you know what? I got to go back to work now. Like, I feel good, but I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5 because I had been on disability for over a year.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to go drive Uber because we in LA. I'm probably going to pick up a producer, director, something. They going to love me. I'll call you from the set because that's always how I thought, right? Like when I tell you every job was going to be the job that made me, you know.
Funny.
And my husband was like, all right, Tal, I'm telling you, I'm about to get discovered in my car. I'm about to tell you. And so I started driving Uber in October, and then December 30th, I was dropping somebody off that morning by Whole Foods. And I was like, ooh, Whole Foods always got a vegan option, right? So I was like, I'm going here, give me a little breakfast, put myself on a little Uber break, okay? And went in there, I had never had vegan bacon. I was like, ooh, this is a TTLA sandwich, vegan bacon, give me that. I ain't never heard, you know, of vegan bacon before. And got the sandwich, and I ate the first half. And I was like, oh, Lord, I need to do a video to tell people that I found a new vegan option. So I did another video to tell people I found this vegan sandwich. That was amazing. And Whole Foods, and, you know, well, it was at Whole Foods. And so
you were in your car or you were at Whole Foods when you did the video?
I was in my car, parked on Ventura Boulevard in front of Whole Foods. Okay. And so I did the video, I posted it. I ain't think nothing of it because, listen, it was like my videos was getting couple hundred views, maybe 1,000 views after a couple, you know, days or weeks. And
which is still good for the regular, 1,000 for a regular person is still good.
Yeah, but it was. And to me, I was like, okay, Lord, I guess this is what he meant. Okay. But I went back to driving Uber and I got home and, you know, turned my notifications on and my phone was like buzzing like it was an Amber Alert. I was like, what's happening? And the video had like 50,000 views or something. I was like, Lord, who's watching this video, you know? And the next morning had like over 100,000. I told my husband, I was like, I think I'm going viral. And he was like, well, what that mean? I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, you gonna make some money? I was like, I don't know. And so 4 days later, Whole Foods reached out and they were like, slid in my DM on Facebook. And they were like, we saw your video. We would love to, you know, partner with you. And I became their brand ambassador for like plant-based foods and did all these different campaigns with them. That was the last day that I worked for Uber, the last day I drove. And that's how it started. So from that day,
Okay.
every time I posted a video, I had thousands of views in minutes. I grew my fan base organically and naturally on Facebook first.
Okay.
And so I had about 500,000 followers in 2020, March of 2020.
Which is a lot.
Right. And like 200,000 in March of 2020.
Okay.
And my daughter kept saying, Mama, you need to get on TikTok.
Okay.
I said, girl, I don't need to get on no TikTok with
Hold
them
on, pause
kids.
right there, because before we go to TikTok, I want to know the time frame from you doing your little sit down comedy, 20 people following you, to this Whole Foods. Like how long was that like
September to December.
Oh, that's not long. So you for a few months you were small for a few months.
Right.
And then when you did the Whole Foods.
Yeah. I was small for about 20 years.
In terms of I stand corrected.
Because I've been pursuing acting and auditioning
yes.
acting
You're putting it in perspective.
For all those years,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But see, that's how I have to tell the story, right? Because then we know that God gets the glory.
Right.
So it seemed like it happened like that because he can do that. I couldn't do it.
Right.
Right. So when I said you can have me,
yes,
because I thought I could do it for 20 years. I thought I could do it.
Right.
But when I said, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna still do my part, but I'm gonna let you take control. That's why a whole 20 plus years of pursuing a dream, from August to December 30th, he just sped it up.
And I'm glad you corrected me, because you're right. It's not just that window. It's your entire life. And also it sounds like you surrendered, but also you did the work. You kept working.
Yeah. I always worked.
Yes.
Right. I worked. Yes. I was in class. I was taking workshops. I was doing small roles. I was doing I was doing everything that I could. I said yes to, some jobs that didn't serve me, which is why now I say no to anything that does not serve me. But yeah, that was it from, I did the 30-day challenge August, really the end of July, to like the, end of August, for the 30 days. And then I started doing the videos around that time.
After you went viral, your first time you went viral, did you realize that it clicked like, oh, this?
I didn't know. I was just like, I didn't know this world, right? I didn't know social media and the internet. I was like, I'm SAG. I know union.
Yeah.
Right. I know how to, what my fee gonna be. So, and I had a lot of friends who also were actors, but had been doing like Vine when that came out and all the stuff. And so they had been making money online and I used to be like, y'all ain't ever gonna work in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? But then when I got into the world, and I would kind of call them and like, how much do I charge? And nobody would help me. And I was like, okay. So in the beginning, I didn't know what to ask for.
Right.
I had to learn all on my own, which is why now when anybody calls me or they message me with those questions, I give them all the information.
Right. Okay. I want to hold that thought. When we come back, I want to talk about your transition to TikTok and how we can credit your daughter for that.
Okay. There we go.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Tabitha Brown, and I want to talk to you about how your daughter convinced you to transition to TikTok or open up to TikTok.
Well, she just kept telling me, she was like, Mama, you need to get on TikTok. She was telling me for about a good month.
Okay.
She started telling me like February of 2020. She kept like just pursuing it. Like, she was like, Mom, you could be like the mom on TikTok. I was like, what you be the mom? They on there dancing, because that's what I thought. I had never been on the app really, but what I would hear about it was like, that's where you go to do dances and stuff. And so she was like, no, you could do like your videos where you do your recipes, you can do your inspirational videos, because everything that I did, I always did on Facebook and Instagram anyway. And so I was finally like, okay. So that was when the Renegade, everybody was doing Renegade. So I was like, well, let's do the Renegade dance. Show me how to do that on TikTok. So that was the first video that went viral, her trying to show us how to do it. And I was like, well, I don't want people to know me from that on TikTok. So let me try to figure out how I can do a recipe. And that's when it was only 60 seconds. And I was like, oh Lord. And so I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do a recipe in 60 seconds. So I kept doing it until I figured it out. And in the first week I did go viral, and I started reading all the comments. And people were saying, because this was like right as soon as the shutdown happened.
Okay.
And so people were like, oh my God, her voice is helping with my anxiety. And they were like, oh, she feels like a warm hug, or I wish she was my mom, or like my auntie. And I was like, oh wait, they need me on here. And so then I felt like it was my responsibility. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it every day during the pandemic. And so I just started doing it. And then that was March of 2020. In the first 30 days, I had 1 million followers. And a week later, I had 2 million. And then it just kept growing. And that TikTok changed my life.
So when you did TikTok and it started growing crazy, what did your daughter say?
I told Mom, didn't I tell you, girl? Girl, I told you, girl. That's
You imitating her is so funny.
Yeah, that's her. She was like, period. I told you that was going to happen.
So funny. You imitate her. That's so funny. What was your husband surprised? Was anybody surprised? I mean, because you'd already had success on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, it was so quick.
Okay.
Right. And, we were still we were just in the house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I saw the numbers.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the impact because we were in the house.
Yeah.
For like a whole year. We didn't go anywhere really.
Right.
I didn't realize that it meant I was famous.
You didn't?
No, people had already knew me, from Facebook because I would tour the country and do vegan fasts and all that stuff.
Right.
But this took me to a whole new audience of people,
right.
Millions of people
right.
that I didn't realize until I went to Chicago when I booked the Shy. I thought I could walk to Whole Foods. And when I was walking down the street, people were honking the horn and like waving out the window. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got back to my, I took an Uber back
right.
to my apartment and called my husband. I said, I think I'm famous. He was like, girl, what you talking about? I was like, babe, the people down, like I'm walking down the street, they honking the horn, they like, yelling my name, and even in Whole Foods in the stores and stuff. And he was like, babe, you just been in the house. But like everybody else know, but also because I don't see myself how other people see me. I'm like, I'm just Tab. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I mean, I know I do a lot.
Right.
But, and at that time I really didn't see it. Of course, now I know I do a whole lot now.
Right.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
But I still also, I just want to be like, when I do videos, I'm only talking to one person.
Okay.
That's why I hold my phone close to my face.
Okay.
I'm just trying to connect with you. So I don't think that it's millions of people watching.
Okay.
I just think right now I'm talking to whoever needed, and I focus on it being one person, like it's a FaceTime.
Okay. Do you, at this point, do you feel pressure in terms of like the content that you post? Do you like this video has only this amount of views or this?
I don't care.
You don't?
Mm-mm. That ain't my business.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I use it, right?
Yeah.
Some days the algorithm gonna grab you, some days it ain't.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I was thinking, like, when I first started like booking a lot of brand deals and stuff, they want to see those numbers.
Right. Yeah.
And I would be like, oh wait, did they do enough? Do they want to do something else, or
Yeah.
But then I just got to a place where I'm like, listen, I make money on my own. God will provide.
I know that's right. Yeah. Speaking about making money on your own, is it true that Oprah offered you a talk show, or not a talk show? She offered you a show.
The OWN network. A couple of networks did. There was like a whole little thing happening for a reality show.
Oh, for a reality show. Mm-hmm. And obviously you declined it.
Yes.
Okay, we're not gonna see you on reality TV.
No, I mean you can see me on my social. That is reality TV.
It is reality.
It's just on on my social. I can be in control of that at all times.
Is that the reason why you turned down?
Yeah, because for me it was more about my kids, my family, and at this time, because this was in 2020 as well. My daughter, just turning 20 years old, or at that time like 19. Mm-hmm. And my stepdaughter, they were in their 20s. My son is little.
Yeah.
But the girls I was thinking about, they're just entering into the make all the mistake years.
Okay.
And they should be able to do that privately, just like I did, just like they did. Okay. Right? And I don't want the world seeing them under this type of microscope and, forming their own opinion. They're going to do that anyway. Mm-hmm. But I allow them to share what they want to share. When they wanted to, get in on videos, they would get in on videos, that type of thing. And so I was like, they didn't ask for this.
Right.
And so everybody also doesn't enjoy being on camera.
Yeah.
Like I do. I love it.
Right.
Right. It took a long time for my husband to even be cool with it.
Right.
And so I was like, nah, we good.
Were you apprehensive at first about having your family on your social media?
No, in the very beginning, when I would cook in my kitchen live, mm-hmm. you would always see Choice come in because she wanted to taste whatever I'm cooking. Mm-hmm. And then Quest, he could barely see over the countertop at that time. Mm-hmm. And so, because he was like 5. Mm-hmm. And so you would always see them in and out the kitchen because it would be live. It
Right.
was just in my house. I'm cooking, girl.
Right.
You hear the dog barking. It's a real thing. You never saw my husband. He might walk by fast, but you would hear his voice be like, man, them people looking in our house. Like in them early years, he'd be like, man, here you go again on this live. And got these people looking at me. Man, I want to just come in the kitchen and get what I need to get. Until them checks started rolling in. He'd be like, man, you ain't doing no video today?
It changed.
Ain't the time for you to do one of them videos, but I let them do it at their comfort, right? And so then, of course, about 2 years ago, my husband, we started doing Fridays with Tab and Chance. And he was a little nervous in the beginning, and now he's more and more comfortable. We just, came back, started back doing it. And now he'd be like, okay, now he's doing little speaking engagements. And I'm so proud of him, but yeah.
Your face completely lights up.
That's my man, honey. That's my
right.
bestie.
Let's talk about your other business ventures. But before we talk about those, you and I off camera were talking about how it's important to share information. And I was telling you that in terms of like salary and asking for certain rates or what should I charge or what should I be making, my girlfriends and I talk about it, but we weren't always like that. And I think I was saying, I think a lot of times we don't want to share because maybe it's embarrassing or it's ego or it's pride or we don't want other people to know. Yeah. But your response to that was?
I think that it is like post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Like they separated us and they put us against each other, right? If you look a certain way or if you do certain things, you in the house, right? You got a separate job type of thing. And it's genetically inside of us to feel like we got to compete. And it's enough money out here for all of us. So
People say that. Is it really enough money out here for all of us?
Girl, yes, it is enough money out here. It is enough money for everybody. Okay. Anybody can start a business. Anybody can have a product. It's more than enough money out in the world. But I always share because that's the only way we can all win. If I don't help you and then you out here getting $3 when you could have got $100, I didn't even help me. Right? Like I'm not doing a service to myself if I'm not helping my sister.
Right. You're right. That's very, that's from a person that's secure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you truly believe, and also if you believe what God has for me is for me.
Yep.
You never gonna think, if I help her, or if I help him, I ain't gonna get mine. Right? I know people, right? Even family who will not help someone because they think you're gonna do better than them.
Yeah.
And that's just not a way to live.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
And you also have
two times.
Two times. And then you have a cookbook coming out.
It's already out. Yeah, it was New York Times bestseller as well.
That's the one that was a New York Times bestseller.
Both of them. Feeding the Soul.
Mm-hmm. I knew about Feeding the Soul.
And then Cooking from the Spirit is my cookbook, and it was a New York Times.
Feeding the Soul because it's my business.
Because it is.
What do you enjoy most about kind of the writing, the book writing, the cookbook process?
I think, with the cookbook, it's recipes, right? And for me, I cook from the spirit. And so just telling.
What does that mean?
No measurements. You do it from your spirit, how you feel, right? I know what I like to eat, so I'm going to put a little bit of that in there, like that. And you add as much as you like of the things that you like. What you don't like, don't put it in there. Taste as you go. Same way my granny cooked and my mama cooked, right? It's no real measurements or real specific recipe. I always tell people, if you need a recipe, every time you cook, if you got to look at something to tell you how much to put in there every time, you don't trust yourself. And that's just not in the kitchen, right? That's also in your life. That means it's hard for you to make decisions. And so I love to encourage people to just have fun in the kitchen. And just
I feel like that's kind of deep.
It might be.
Congrats on your Target line. That was
thank you.
Big and amazing and it was exciting as a fan. How did that situation happen?
So I was working with Target originally, through their Target Family program, which is like influencers, and I was doing organic content. And every time I would do a video, they would send out, the email with like, okay, this is what the product may be or what the, content that we're looking for. And I would do content, and they never asked me to edit. They would say, we love it just like this. And I was like, very good, Target. They love me for me.
Very good, Target.
I don't have to do no edits. They loved everything that I did. Never tried to change me. Never asked me to, do anything that didn't feel, right to me. And so when they came to me after a year of working with them, was like, we want to do something bigger. And I was like, okay, well, I already trust y'all. So let's talk about it. And we did this huge 4-drop deal. And so 2 of the drops have already happened. First one was this summer with the clothing line and all the beach accessories and all that. And then the second was home decor and, home office and furniture. And so my third drop will happen in the new year. I can't say what it is, but we'll say food and kitchen.
Okay, food and kitchen. And then, so you have 2 more coming.
Yes, 2 more, and then in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably re-up.
Well, we'll
if you want to. I mean,
I would love to. Absolutely.
Okay.
I love Target. They are my family.
Okay.
But
I spend too much money in Target.
Listen, you can't go for one thing. If you need to get one thing out of Target, just order it online. Let them bring it to you to your car. To the house.
Yes, to the house. Drop it off at the house. Let's talk about your hair care line, Donna's Recipe.
Yeah.
What makes that line different from other sort of lines?
Well, first and foremost, honey, this is Donna. I made my hair many years ago.
I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, this is Donna, girl. You didn't know Donna.
I didn't know Donna. I didn't know she had a name. Okay.
Honey, she got an attitude with you just now. Girl, it's all right. Everybody don't know they have to be introduced. She said, "All right, Jasmine." But yeah, so this is Donna, and so what happened was I created Donna's Recipe because I had lost my hair in the back from my neck injury, so I would have to sleep flat on my back. You know how babies they have to when they lay flat on their back, their hair started to thin out. So that had started happening to me as my hair was growing out, and so I had been trying to find all these different products to make it grow back. And so everything had like different chemicals, but I was like, I'm also vegan. I want to also like put like vegan products on my skin, especially my head. And so I started mixing my own things and trying to create like a natural product that was vegan. And that's how that came to be. And created vegan gummies, which are biotin, because it's hard to find vegan gummies because they don't have gelatin in them. And so,
it's just so hard, this vegan thing.
Right. I know. It becomes a way of life though, right? And so that's how it started. And then now we are about to launch a huge new collection. We have when is this going to come out? Monday? Honey, y'all might know about it on the same day. It's going to be the same announcement day. But yeah, so we have some amazing products. I can't cook. Well, I ain't going to say I can't. I don't cook desserts. That ain't in my ministry. Because, desserts is baking and stuff. And
that's measurement.
You do need measurements. And Tab don't be doing that.
You can't trust the spirit with
No, unless you've been doing it for 100 years. Like my granny used to be like, this a teaspoon in her hand. She know a teaspoon a table. She'd be like, that's it right there, right? But she was the town baker. So because I don't cook desserts, Donna does all desserts. So all of her products will be like a dessert line. So she got some desserts coming to y'all real soon.
And it's vegan.
Everything is 100% vegan.
Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tab Time.
Okay.
Welcome back to Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand. I'm here with Tabitha, and I want to talk to you about your Emmy-nominated show, Tab Time.
Yes. Look, I still like have this little feeling when I hear that Emmy nominated.
Yeah, because that's how you got to. Yeah. That's how you got to intro it now.
Right. The show is Emmy nominated. I'm Emmy nominated.
You are.
We got 2. I'm so excited about it. It's my passion, project. I love children. I think children can save the world. Right, if we teach them at an early age that they are okay, however they are, their differences. Teach them to embrace that. Teach them to see each other and love each other, have compassion for each other. And the hope is that gets deposited into them as they learn and they grow up and become adults who still see each other and love each other and will also help heal each other. And that's why I wanted to do the children's show. That's why Tab Time came to be. And it is the most rewarding job I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Out of all your different business ventures, this is the most rewarding.
Yeah, when I see children from all walks of life, people tag me and I see these videos of these babies watching, I'm like, man, that is amazing, and it's safe.
Yeah.
Right? It's a safe space where they are learning.
Yeah.
They're loving, right?
Yeah.
And parents also can feel good about it. And the child inside of all of us as adults, they get fed as well.
Yeah.
So there's no greater feeling than that.
You have all these, I was just thinking about your empire. You have all these different touch points. You have hair, you have food, which is like health. You have a little bit of everything. And then I didn't know, I'm a new mom, so I don't know mom stuff, but I didn't know about Tab Time. And I asked my girlfriend, I was like, I'm trying to find stuff for my daughter, like everything is white, that I'm fine. That
Yeah.
I don't want to say everything is white, but everything I'm seeing is white. And so like I just don't know. And she was like, "Oh, tap time. She could do." I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's a
Bring
show."
the babies on over here in the room.
I was
okay?
like, "Oh my God, it's a show!" Like I got loud. I'm sorry, but I
Yes.
had no idea. But I feel
The
like
child inside of you. See, that was a child inside of you.
it was.
Yeah.
She's a loud one. So, but I think it's dope because when you have children, you run into trying to find people that look like them, and I want her to start early.
Yeah,
so that
representation is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only imagine if I grew up watching a black woman with an afro tell me that I was okay, how I would have felt. I would have probably never code switched. I'd have never thought I had to straighten my hair.
Right.
Right. I would have thought, oh, this is just how I am. This is how my hair grows. I'm all right. You know? But I had to get grown and find my freedom again. But I want children to always know that they are meant to be free.
Yes. I didn't, I think if I had people that looked like you when I was growing up, I definitely would feel different about my hair.
Yeah.
100%.
But I love it. Look at you.
No, I'm
this
with
right
it.
here says freedom.
Your pink hair does say freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, pink hair, the locks, the whole lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your show on Food Network called Complicated.
Uh-huh.
It was Food Network's first plant-based cooking competition series. It was on for a season. How did that situation come about?
Well, I had a lot of offers from different people to do, a food show. And I didn't want a traditional cooking show. And so when they approached me to host It's Complicated, I was like, okay, I like the idea. And I fought really hard for it to be 100% vegan. Because I would not host a show that wasn't 100% vegan. Because it just, contradicts who I am. And so I did this, one season of the show. It was an amazing show. A lot of people really loved it. And it was a blessing for a lot of chefs to have exposure,
right?
To show like what they can do, right? But it also helped so many people watching where they could see, oh wait, so I can make, my favorite food vegan this way, or I can use that as a substitute. So that was really it. And my goal was to try to bring people back to the table together and share one meal everybody could enjoy. Because I find that, in my house, I had to figure out how to do that because I'm the only vegan. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to make one meal everybody would eat together. So I ain't got to cook two different meals, or they ain't going to order from here and they order from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how the show was. And it was an amazing first season.
Do you think it'll get renewed?
Or it did not get renewed.
It did not get renewed.
No,
okay.
it didn't.
I saw your post. First of all, I don't never see you get tense on social media, but I did see a post. I saw something. I saw headlines that you didn't. It was some situation, but what I gathered from your post was you're going to always be yourself.
Yes.
And you're only going to be in situations where you can be yourself.
Yeah, I won't change for anybody. I won't conform. I'll never code switch again. I won't ever give up my freedom. I am not for sale. Right? I always tell people, no matter what network, no matter what company, nobody pays for me. They pay to work with me. And me is this tab.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Would you like to do something similar or a different sort of situation at another network? Would you be open to that?
Not necessarily that show, but absolutely, food and talk and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Food and talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that in the works now, or are you?
It is definitely on my list.
Okay, it's on your list.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider reality TV once your children were out of the house?
The only reality TV, and this would have to happen like real soon.
Okay.
That I have thought about that I'd be like, we could do, would be me and my husband's renewal, because in April we'll be 20 years married, 25 together. So I was like, we need to plan a wedding, and because we want to renew
a vow renewal special. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. So that would be kind of like leading up into that.
Yes.
But yeah, I would do something like that.
Okay, I like that idea.
But that means I got to actually start planning it.
You do have to plan it, and then you're gonna have to executive produce it. Your team back there like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was like, Lord Jesus, I ain't did it yet, but yeah,
okay.
Something like that would be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Before I let you go, I always ask what I call our general life questions.
Okay.
They have nothing to do with food or your
life questions.
Yeah, just general life. Okay.
Got it.
So, what keeps you up at night?
Oh, honey. Lately, these hives that I've been having.
No.
But nothing really keep me up at night. I'm unless it's my husband. But that's my business. But no, I'm usually, I pray before I go to sleep, and I always do a check-in with myself, and I say, girl, you carrying anything into your sleep that that may have happened today? Let's kind of unpack that now and release it. But nothing really keeps me up at night.
Okay. What's the biggest misconception about who you are?
The biggest misconception. I don't know. You know, I think that I don't have bad days. I think people just think she happy all the time. She, you know, she don't never have a bad day, or that I don't go through anything. I do. I'm human. You know, I won't necessarily say they're bad, but I do have tough days.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the craziest rumor you've heard about yourself?
The craziest rumor that I was from New York and my accent was fake. I was like, what, really?
I mean, you are an actress.
It's like, what's up, son? What I supposed to say? Like, you know, I was like, I had to bring my daddy on the video. Like, y'all hear my daddy there?
My daddy.
We are, well, yeah, and that. I can't even, you know, I didn't even know that I was saying daddy different until I started doing videos. People like, you say daddy. I was like, ain't that how you supposed to say that? Like, it's like D-E-D-D-Y. But anyway, but yeah, I'm from New York.
I mean, you definitely have the New York look today. I'm not gonna lie.
Right, but listen, I'm from North Carolina. I studied fashion in college.
You fly. You are fly. When's the last time you cried?
The last time I cried, yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, we was doing Fridays with Tab and Chance, and our topic was about grieving. And me and my husband were talking about when I was grieving with my mother, and how that, you know, affected our relationship. And so I didn't realize it was gonna make me emotional, because, you know, we've talked about it over the years, but it made me very emotional.
What lesson took you the longest to learn?
That I was enough.
What brings you the most joy?
My family.
Last question. If you could ask, see, I don't know, you and God are kind of tight, so I don't know if this question is good for you. Mm-hmm. But if you could ask God one question and he would answer loud and clear, what would you ask God?
This is going to sound a little, you know, because some people are like, I don't want to know that. But sometimes I be wanting to know how much time I got. They're like, when you get your birth certificate, they put your, you know, your date of birth, and they put your date of death. So you know how much time you have, so that you know how to live your life.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure and a joy.
Yeah.
You have to come back. We won't sit down that long next time, but we will sit down and promote whatever you have. And we both will wear sweatsuits next time.
I'll wear a dress next time.
Okay, we'll switch it up. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And make sure you tune into Brutally Honest with Jasmine Brand, and we can return again on Monday.